This is Family the Ghost, and we're live on the air with Nicolette Nierras, your transformational coach and RTT therapist. So, welcome to the Family Like a Ghost podcast. How you doing tonight?
Hello. I am doing great, except it's morning for me. It's 10:06 a.m. right here in Malaysia,
Oh yeah,
and
I get that.
yeah,
I'm in New
we're
Hampshire, USA. So,
USA. Yeah, wow. Okay, that's a long way from here. But I was just in the States last September, so I'm excited. I'm excited to be here on your show. Thank you so much for having me.
a couple of things we asked every guest is why do they do why do you do what you do, and what motivates you?
Whew. Okay. Thank you for saying that this would take an hour. So because that story alone maybe could take about an hour on its own. So yes, what do I do? What I do? Why RTT hypnotherapy and why lifestyle coaching? So um, the thing is, I was a 9 to 5. I was working a 9 to 5 just last May 2024. So I've been in the corporate for about 15 years now. So I've had my own fair share of trauma and career burnout. That was back in 2019. So I had my divorce in 2019, and it was not a very nasty divorce, but I mean nobody go into marriage just to get divorced, right? Just to break up. So that took a hit on my self confidence. Number one, because not only did I lose my best friend, but it's like I lost my sense of direction. And then so I was always an overachiever since I was a kid because from my dad, dad has always told me, okay, education is key. Education is the key to changing your life. So I was the top student all through high school, middle school, high school, university, and then when I got through to the capital of Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, I'm right back to where I am. I'm back in my hometown. I said to myself, okay, this is time for me to spread my wings. So I went, I studied, and I got into the working force as early as I could, which was when I was 19. Mind you, I'm 34 right now. And so I started climbing the corporate ladder slowly. And that was the first time being away from my parents, so it was kind of a new experience for me. Culture shock, if you can put it that way, because I'm a girl from a small town. So then the the trauma hit. I guess that was one of the pivotal moments when I said to myself, because I was always chasing the external achievements, the validation from people. And I was sort of like proving my worth based on that. So if I could achieve this status by the age of, something, 25 or 30, I could say to myself that I've made it. And I was clearly wrong at that. So okay, mid 20s, I met my ex, and I thought, okay, this is it. I thought that by 30, my life would be settled. I would have kids. I would have, achieved the say the position that I wanted to be in a corporate, and also the amount of money that I was aiming to get at a certain age. So that was how focused, goal oriented I was when it comes to achieving externally, um, to myself. And of course, life did not happen the way we always wanted to happen. Um, Things happen in the relationship, and it's what it fell through just after 2 years. So that's when I started looking. I started blaming myself. Like, I was I the problem? And mind you, when we came into union at the time, there were already telltale signs that we were too young. It was too soon, and of course, me as a go-getter, I wanted to prove again, keyword prove people that they were wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I went ahead, and then it was a very pretty journey. But then hypnotherapy came to me back in 2020, 2021, the first time. So I was scrolling past my Instagram, and I saw this talk by Marissa Peer, um, uh, held by, I would say, Mind Valley at the time. And I said, okay, what is this? She was talking very much on subconscious mind, how our subconscious is always recording what we do. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, much of our trauma is actually from that. So the feeling of me not lovable because of what I thought I had attached my self identity to the relationship, I felt that worthless.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and I said, okay, I wanted to see how I can shift this mindset. So I studied it a little bit more. I didn't sign up immediately because at the time, mind you, it was 2021. We were in the midst of the pandemic, the lockdown here in Malaysia, and 2019 was my divorce. So a little over a year and a half passed after that, and I was forced to really look within. And at the time, I was just chasing the pursuit of making myself feel good instead of feeling the emotions, the grief on the loss. So, uh, 2021, I looked at it and I was like, okay, this is expensive because I wanted to see if I could kill two birds with one stone. So, finding out what hypnotherapy is all about, and number two, and see if I could certify myself in it, and then become um, a therapist, a hypnotherapist,
Mm-hmm.
and help people go through who's going through the same journey, or has had the same similar experiences as I had. And then 2021, I was still debating, do I want to take up that course, because at the time it was $6,000, or was it $8,000? It's a hefty amount, and I was at the height of my career when I got divorced. But after that, I focused. I don't know, things just started falling apart, both in the love department and also work. Because when I got divorced, I said to myself, I promised myself, you know what? I'm not gonna look in this direction anymore, and I'm just gonna focus on what I'm good at, which is achieving, which is setting goals and achieving them, taking them one by one. You see, all of the keywords that I'm using are really, really bad keywords, which I later realized after undergoing that transformation journey myself, spiritual journey, that life should not be ticked off. It's
Mm-hmm.
not a linear. It's
No,
not
that's
linear.
yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, 2023, something happened. It's like the universe saying, okay, I think you should pivot right now. Enough. Excuse my language. Dicking around. I the same post came across. I came across the same post on my Instagram, and I said to myself, I don't know what and how I'm gonna support myself um, at the time. And mind you, the fee had increased about 40%. It's now I think 30 to 40%. I think around figure of 10,000. But I was like, okay, let's just do it, because when I left my job, uh, the one that had me burn out, it was already a sign that, okay, I don't think I'm going to stay in a 9 to 5 anymore. So it was, I followed whatever the universe was putting in front of me, and just really trusting that it will work out.
Yeah.
So 2023, I signed up for that. And I do what I do because I wanted to help myself and see why the heck am I feeling this low, that at the time, and now I can help people.
And you're a
Yes.
host of like your worthless podcast, which is like a self-examination, right? It's an introspective journey of your self-worth, right? So you
Yes.
you're doing this work they eventually combined rapid transformational therapy with life
Hmm.
coaching, and maybe we can talk about the RTT. But I,
Yes.
as a podcaster, I'm really interested in what you do with your podcast as well, because that's how I kind of present to the world through this forum. And I think it's a really cool forum because I'm not sure what your podcast, how it's set up. Do you talk to other people, or do you present like your 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 story through your podcast? How do you do it?
Ooh, okay. Well, thank you for asking that. Okay, so the impetus of the podcast was because of the fact that I had signed up for the course and I was still feeling worthless. That why would people want to pay me even after I graduate if then I have received all the training on all the tools that I needed to do to perform as a hypnotherapist. I was still feeling that lack, that I couldn't do it, mind you, but I was already an overachiever, so anything, because I know anything that I put my head into, I would be able to achieve it. But because I was so battered in the last 5 years, I couldn't even bring myself up to walk like I'm on the same par with other people. So the name itself uh, was a monologue that I kept telling myself as I was undergoing that the grief process and the career burnout. And what started it was me telling to myself, okay, Nick, you need a platform. What are you good at? What are you what is it that you do that brings you joy? So again, I was trying to kill two birds with one stone. I was preparing myself to graduate and putting myself out there, because hypnotherapy means you're going to be talking to people, and when you're at that low place, you don't even want to talk to people. I can tell you that,
Mm,
because you'd think that, oh, who is she? Why does she think she's okay? She's capable, or she has the credential to talk to me. Um, it even having gone through whatever she has gone through, and what makes her think that she's credible enough. Let's just put it
yeah,
that
like
way.
imposter syndrome, right? You would feel like imposter syndrome.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. It's like, but that was what I was thinking. But actually, it was my reflection, my own insecurities projecting out to the crowd, to the masses, to the external reality. And okay, I knew I had to go with it. So I said to myself, what's the best way to get myself out there? And practice, 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 because that's the key to gaining self confidence again. So I started my podcast, and I named it that one, something that's very true to my core and what I believed. I know it's a some people have pegged it as a satirical podcast, but it's not. It's really not. You're worthless, because that's the paradox of it, right? What you're here, you're not worthless.
Hmm.
So the format of the podcast, me coming up, asking people, really my own curiosity, why is it that I feel this way, and am I the only one in the world that feels this way? Why do I
Hmm.
feel crap? The amount of self-loathing that I had, blaming myself, why I wasn't lovable, why am I not achieving what I could achieve before the last 15 years at work and also in relationship. Why me? So as I start to get myself out there, start talking to people, I provide a platform to them. And also, again, most of my questions are, you can say, thought provoking, because it's the questions that I had, that I've been asking myself, that I then ask my guests.
Well, that's cool. So you
So
have guests that you talk to.
yes, I have guests that I talked to. So the first 6 episodes were me talking about by myself. It's a solo episode, and then thank you to Alex, Pod Match. He approached and he saw this and he's like, okay, come on board. And then
Okay,
when
guess.
yeah. And then because of the name, I think it resonated with so many people. When I signed up, I think the first day or the second day I signed up, I got about 20 matches
Oh, wow,
just
that's good.
texting me and saying, yeah, and saying like, Nick, hey, um, I want to come on to your show because of this. They started telling their own journey. And I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
I think a lot of people, that what
yeah,
you're talking about resonates because there's a
yeah.
lot of people that feel like they're in that box.
Oh, yeah.
They feel like, they might have been in the corporate world and then they found out it wasn't satisfying. People told them it would be satisfying. And then they find out it really isn't pulling their heartstrings and
No.
it's not really giving them the emotional support because, like, to live life, you have to find something that makes you want to get up, and not
Yes.
just phone it in. So,
Yes.
like, what I like about podcasting and art in itself, I'm a musician too, is this the ability to have a voice or to have other people have you come into a forum and be able to talk with like-minded people or people in the same kind of zone,
Yes.
which is like people who want to tell stories
Mm-hmm.
and want to tell their story or want to
Yeah.
find out what in their story resonates with anybody else so they understand it's like all people are kind of going through the same things. And I think that
Exactly.
helps other people because we're social beings and we
Yes.
need to know that we have validation of like what we're feeling and we're not alone, right?
That is correct. That is correct. And also to add into that, I had to work a lot of my own internal old beliefs that I can tell you this is it wasn't a very very easy journey, especially for me because I used to have a one track mind that I if I set myself on anything on a goal, I would expense the connection around me. And I know that's cruel, but that was how I was operating before. And I could also tell you that somehow after having that introspection, that self-examination over the last 5 years, it was I thought that it was like karma, universe saying to me, okay, you did what you did because everybody has a choice at the time at any point in our lives, but you chose to act that way and you know um, and take certain actions based on your own old beliefs. So now that I had flipped the script, I have become more, I would say, I had to find that one basic thing, the tenet that connects everybody. And I pulled myself away from, I said, I lied to myself that I'm not a creator, meaning I'm not an artist, but to the truth, the truth of our being, of our core, is that we're all artists.
Yeah,
And we all have a story. And we all create. We come from a creator and we create things. And this is a creation.
yeah.
A
Everything we
musician is
do.
a creation.
Every
Yeah.
day you're everybody says I'm not an artist, you're not a creator. Every day you're on the planet, you have to tell your story no matter what you think, you're telling your story anywhere you go. And how you present is like your creative, like individual self. Like you're putting on a face to the world, right? And everybody has a face. They have like
Yes.
a face they have for their immediate family, for their boss, for their friends, and how you tell your story is not that people make things up, but like how you present what's going on. You use your creative thinking on the fly
Mm-hmm.
based on
Yeah,
wherever
on
your
the
head's
fly.
at. Yeah,
Yes,
wherever your head's
yes.
at, right? So if your head's in a place where you're not good enough, you keep on putting out a vibe that you're not good enough. Some people might like take advantage of that,
Mm.
you know. But if you if you put out a vibe that you feel like you are good enough, and you're vibrating with this frequency, that very positive mindset, then opportunities start to present themselves, and it seems like magic, but it's not really magic.
It's
It's because you are, a being that puts out frequencies, and if you put out the law of attraction that you feel good, right, that you feel like you deserve to be here, right, if you feel that you have permission to speak your mind,
mhm.
then other people will say, wow, this person is saying something I should hear. And then you'll get
Yes,
listened to, and then you'll get reinforced, and then you'll feel better, and then things start to happen.
exactly. So it's a chain. It's a chain. So imagine this. If I okay, so I had a late night interview last night. It was about 1 o'clock, 1:30 a.m. And right now, the interviews today was 10 a.m. So if I were to continue, if I were to just dwell on this, like, okay, I don't feel like I want to get up today, right? Because right now I've transitioned to from 9 to 5, so I no longer have my routine of waking up at 7 and then commuting to work. Now it is just purely on me, which is what I wanted from the first time that I set up as when I entered the workforce at 19. So I finally got it now. But then if I were to maintain that mindset or the frequency of, oh, I don't really want to wake up, I feel like I am still, and it's almost holiday season, right?
You just
And
want to take a break.
yeah, I do. I think I deserve a break. See, deserve a break. And then but it's a but that one shift in mindset, saying that, okay, what am I doing? I'm on a platform which would enable me to send and express my message out to the world, and it is an opportunity from the universe, because I don't believe in coincidences. I believe we all orchestrate this,
Mhm.
because I have done the internal work, and of course we're all working. We work until we're like 6 feet underground, right? The
Yeah,
healing
till we're done.
continues on. Yes, until we're done. Until the healing yeah, the healing continues on. But then I have made it a point that, okay, I want to be vibrating at this level. What is that? Love, or just acceptance, or just be at peace. And God has given me that opportunity. Okay, you want this night, you want to be out of your 9 to 5, and you want to be talking, helping people. So I'm giving you this lifestyle now. And right now, your intention is to get your message out there. And what is that one way of doing that? Getting on a podcast.
Yeah,
And you giving me this opportunity to come and talk to your audience is in itself a gift. I manifested this. So are you trying to say that this is me talking to myself, pushing the very thing that you manifested, the very thing that you want? No. So get out there and just take it one step at a time. So yeah, up I went.
yeah. It's like you
And
got to
I
show
take
up.
a
I mean, the
shower.
whole thing, a lot of
Yeah.
podcasts, I mean, the whole history of podcasting is like a lot of podcasters end their episode, like stop podcasting by like the fifth or 10th episode, and then they stop because they don't get the goal that they wanted, or they don't understand that, like, the reason I've been doing this since 2016, we're at like over 1200
Wow. Wow.
episodes. And
Yes, I saw. I was just checking your profile. Yeah.
so
Yeah. You've
people
been.
like said, well, how could you do that? I said, well, my grandpa was a coal miner. Every day he got up in a mine. Got up and went to the mines, because
Yeah.
like when I commit to something, I commit to it because I feel like the idea of doing it is this, like, it's like a privilege, like you said. It's like to be able to have a platform where, today I talked to 3 people from around the world.
Mm.
Some days I talk to 3 or 4 people, but the fact that I get to talk to people from like all corners of the earth, that to me is a privilege. And I'm an artist, right? So part of being an artist is you get ideas as an artist by
Yes.
talking to people or visiting people. And I'm not able to visit people in my situation now because my wife's kind of has some medical issues and my daughter's disabled. So this gives me a way to actually communicate with the world and still be responsible to my dependents, right? And still be able to take care of my wife and my daughter. And, people would say, well, how could you do that? You know, you know what I mean? Because the whole idea is like, well, you could just say, well, you don't have the time. But to me, that taking the time is necessary.
You make the
Like what you were
time.
saying.
If it's really important to you, make the time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like
Right?
it's a big goal for you, right? I get what you're saying. Because it's like if this is your life's passion, that this is where the trajectory you're now on. Law of
Mm-hmm.
attraction has put you on this path.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, you kind of have to like fulfill your path.
That's right. That's right. And I, because yes, if I was already doubling down or just giving my 1000% my own job, which was not aligned to mine, to which I don't find joy in anymore. Imagine how much more I can achieve if I could just double down or triple down or quadruple down on the thing that I want to do.
Yeah, the thing that
So
you're
imagine
passionate
that.
about. Yeah.
Yeah, the exponential effect of it. I know it is. I'm still starting out. Just recently transitioned out, and it's hard. I can attest. Those people listening, me talking like this, yeah, a lot of work had been done internally, especially my mindset, and yeah, externally as well. I'm still on. I'm still building it, but I can tell you, I wouldn't have it any other way because I believe this is it. Because I did give myself another try out. Like after that job that caused me to really be ah I felt like garbage at the time, and then I picked myself back up and had a year and a half to examine if I wanted to be in the same corporate world again. And I said, again, the universe was like understanding. Maybe take your time to recuperate, but then start pivoting slowly. And that's what I did. I took the
I think it's real important to kind of take the time that you need. Because everybody's to compare like where they are to other people, but everybody's on their own trajectory. And like sometimes you get to a place because that's the time you were supposed to get there, right?
yes. You see the keyword suppose. You see who told you that, right?
Yeah.
Who you put it on? You put it upon yourself that you were supposed to get there by this time.
But sometimes the universe already had that plan for you, and you just like you didn't realize it until you hit it.
Exactly.
Sometimes like
Exactly.
there's an epiphany, like you realize, oh, the 9 to 5 is not for me.
Yes.
And so up until that point, that you didn't think that, but the minute you think that, then the world starts to shift, right? The minute you give yourself permission to say, I can be an artist, I could go to a coffee shop and read poetry.
Oh my god.
But
Yes.
that you actually go do it, then your life starts to change. Because every day before that, you didn't think you could do it. But then the day you do it,
Yes.
then it opens up. So it's like that's the kind of path. It's like sometimes you had to go through some steps before you actually took that mic and actually did
Yes.
it.
Yes. Yes. Preach, preach, preach. 1,000,000%. I could attest to that too.
And so it's real important about the imposter syndrome though, because a lot of times we've talked to people on the show,
Mhm.
and I've talked to a lot of artists. I've talked to a lot of like singer songwriters, film
Mm.
people,
Right.
and you'd be surprised. Like they get on stage, you couldn't tell they have it, but they have it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
Oh
then you're
yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
wow, it's like how can they have it? Oh, because everybody can have it.
I can, I can tell you because every show that I go on right now, it's the first time I'm meeting you. So for the listeners, we did not practice this. This is the first time this is not scripted. And yes, that teeny weeny feeling of, you know, I, why does why does this podcast want me on? What is it that I have that I can showcase to people and they want to listen to what I have to say? Why would make them stop? So that was again the little IS on the corner of my mind saying, okay, can you do this? But me being kind to it and kind to myself that it's okay, it's a new experience. Every time you're overcoming it. Every time you take that action, that's you eliminating that IS. And not to say that once you, okay, I thought that imposter syndrome is just a one time thing, or
Mm.
yeah, once you've overcome it, it's not going to come again. No. Because as you reach new heights in whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's singer songwriter, you're writing a new song, okay, number one right now, you're producing it, okay, that's one step. And then once you get approached by a label, that's another step, right? And it's a new territory. They say it, what do you get, new levels, new devils? That's,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And then you got to
And
go on stage. You got to go on
yeah,
TV. You got to do interviews.
exactly.
And like you might be like, the big story a long time ago was like Prince, one of the
Yeah.
greatest like musicians ever, right?
Hmm.
But you put him in front of a reporter, and he couldn't handle it. Like in his early career, he could not deal with it. So he
Mm.
had to be he'd really tightly control it for a long time until he got older and learned how to deal with it. But like he had a hard time. He has one of these people that show up on stage and you think he's like one person. And then when you get to him in like private, it's like pulling teeth to get things out of him. Because he's like he'll put it all into the music, but he couldn't talk to you about it. So like people didn't get him like on a personal level sometimes because it's like, how can you can put it in the song, but you can't talk to me about it?
Hmm.
So he had
Hmm.
a hard time with like personal relationships because he could put it into the song and you think he's like, wow, he puts all that into the song, but he couldn't actually tell you
That
that
must
one on
me
one.
get it. Yeah. This is the preconceived notion we have when we see other people achieving certain things and we tell them, oh, we say to ourselves, oh, they must be they're really good at this. They must be good in all aspects of in all the other aspects of their lives, and then the comparison when you put the camera back onto you and you say, oh, what am I good at? Why can I achieve that? Why can I be if I'm half as good as that person, I would be set. But then no, I'm not that good. I'm never gonna achieve that, and then you feel low. You know, actually the whole thing, you're just putting it upon yourself and you spiral because of your own thinking. So this here is a very dangerous
Or
thing.
it gets noisy.
It's noisy, but if you cultivate it, it would be the most graceful place that you can be. You can have a garden, or you can have Amazon, or you can have a war zone in here.
Yeah, well, you have to give
It's up
yourself
to you.
grace. I think a lot of times
Oh,
people don't
of
give themselves
course.
the grace and the
Yes.
permission structure because people think you go from 0 to 100. And
Yeah.
like if any musician knows, it's like 10,000 hours of me playing piano to get to the point where I don't have to look, right? And I can sing and play, and people can say, "Well, how can you do that?" Well, it wasn't because I just did it overnight. I did it because I
Yes.
practiced like 10,000 hours,
Exactly.
and it's like
Yeah.
so
I.
everything is the work. It's always like people think they can just jump, and there's periods where it didn't work, right? That you had to build up your skill set like an athlete who
Mm-hmm.
figures out how to do a 3-point shot or they can do a play in NFL, whatever. It's all because of the level of practice that they do. And the thing is, like your mind you have to practice with your mind and your
Yes.
and your and your mental state. Like you can reframe things if you
Mm-hmm.
practice certain things and if you've gotten into the work. But the idea is like some people don't realize like you have to put work in at many levels and there's many pillars to a human, like your physical self. your spiritual self, your heart, your body. If any of those things are out of alignment, then you're usually not in a good place.
No, no. And it manifests in your reality. And you wonder why are people bad towards you, or when you encounter, like, I don't know. The only thing that I can come up right now is, why couldn't the lady be friendlier with me when I was getting coffee at the cafe this morning? Now you had the choice to whether be on the same level of frequency as that person, or you transmute the energy into, oh, give yourself grace that it's okay, it is not your fault, it is their projection, but also give the other person's grace. But to see, if I were to say this, we're putting it on the other person, but no, what I'm asking you is to look within, because everything starts with you.
Yeah, it's
It
how you
starts here.
react. Yeah, how
Yes.
you react to the world. Like if like in the U.S., we get the road rage. So
Oh,
somebody
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
gets ticked
I
off.
wasn't driving. I didn't drive, but that I hear that a lot.
Yeah,
News
and
on
because like you never
TVs.
know like what ticks them off. Like
Yeah.
you can just like, oh, I didn't use my turn signal, and then suddenly
Mm,
they're on you, and they're
yeah.
freaking out because like they built up to this thing, right? And
Yes.
you were the trigger, and you didn't know you're the trigger, but you're
Yeah.
the trigger, right? And so
Yeah.
then the thing is like you have to de-escalate or you're going to escalate. So
Mm-hmm.
you escalate, like you give them the finger, then
Yeah.
that goes and escalates if you didn't have to do that, right? So
No.
like matter is like so like the thing is like give yourself some grace and then give the world some grace. Like if somebody comes at you like it's like judo, like take
Yeah.
something and do the judo move. Don't go and be take the energy and reframe it, move it somewhere else, right? You don't have to go
Exactly.
and escalate it. You can
Yes.
de-escalate it.
Yes. And it's easier said than done, but then, like I said, if you just in that split second, you could either make your day better or you can make your day worse. Because if you were to respond at the same rate as the other person is responding, which is anger, you're when you get to the office, somebody, just any teeny minor thing that comes at you, you'd be like, oh, this is your fault.
Yeah, you're
And
gonna
that's
cause it
gonna
more
ruin,
problems.
exactly, that's gonna ruin the whole thing, because again, it's a chain, right?
It's gonna
So
keep
then,
on chaining all day. To the time you get
exactly.
home with your family, and then you're yelling at your kids, you're yelling at your wife,
Yes.
you're yelling at your
Exactly.
dog, you're letting
Say,
everything's
why can't my life be right? Yeah. And but if you had made that choice, oh, that's okay. I'll just have another coffee then, or a different milk. He or she used the wrong milk. I'll have a different coffee. Yeah.
yeah.
So okay, I diffuse the situation, and now on to the next thing. So it starts from you.
Then also like if you start to think about yourself, like you give yourself grace, you give yourself some love, right? And people say, well, how can I love myself? That's arrogant. Like some people get like they think it's arrogant, like this person's full of themselves, this person's like too positive, and then they start making criticisms and there's a lot of these haters. But like you know what? Like if you're out there radiating positivity, law of attraction, there's gonna be people all around you that don't feel you're prickly. They don't feel that you're negative. They're actually gonna be able to come to you, that will talk to you, they'll bring you opportunities because you're not hard to be around, right? So if you make yourself more like in a better space in your own self, then the world will kind of you'll fit in to the frequency of the world. Like instead of being like off key
Yeah.
or dissonant or a bunch of noise, people will actually hear you.
Yes. Oh, funny you brought this up. I had a guest yesterday, and he's the CEO of one of the company, and now he's helping young college graduates, um, who's on their way to the working force. And he said this: one of the qualities that he observes on successful people is being likable, being
Hmm.
approachable. You don't have to, groom yourself to fake it that, oh,
Or smile at
you're
somebody.
faking it. Yeah,
Smile.
yeah. But
Yeah.
just be yourself. Just smile, and because energy speaks for itself, and if you're really genuine in smiling, naturally, like attract likes, right? So you will attract the right kind of people into your circle, and truly, if anybody's out there listening, it's not about the external; it's about the internal state of your being.
Yeah. I think I was talking to Bill Barnett, and he was talking about that kind of
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's
That
Bill.
they talked to
Yeah,
him
it was
just
Bill. It
before.
was Bill.
He was my
Oh,
second person tonight. Yeah. Yeah, my third.
oh,
Yeah. Yeah. We were
okay,
just
awesome.
talking.
Okay, okay, yeah. So
Small
yeah,
world.
likable.
It's a small world.
Small world indeed. Yeah, that was him. I had. It's Bill. It's Bill Burnett.
Yeah. Yeah. I starting to remember that why, like, I'm 57, but I still, the short-term memory's going, but I'm like, I remember that.
Right? Like, because he was like, yeah, you gotta be likable, and you can tell when a person is likable, like, you vibe with them, you jive with them. So with
Well,
him, I
yeah, it
was like,
feels
wow,
authentic. When you're
yeah,
with somebody and you can,
because you're
like, you
being
go
real.
and you're gonna, I was talking to somebody and we just started talking about the Beatles,
Uh
right?
huh.
Yeah, I'm a music freak, so I can go on, right?
Right.
So and we're diving into really deep cuts, like not the
Yeah.
songs that everybody knows, but like the deep tracks on
Yeah.
Revolver and stuff on Yellow Submarine. We're just going off, talking
Yeah.
about it from like a musician point of view. And we got lost into it for like 2 hours. And we were
Oh
supposed
my
to be
gosh.
talking about something for work. And we just went into the Beatles and like, oh, we're Beatles freaks. Like we got totally lost in the Beatles. And it was like, but that's like, you go down the rabbit hole. But it was fun. And then he remembered like he had such a good time. He said, we'll talk about the other things later. We never
Yeah.
even talked about it.
You know, it's funny when you're in that flow, you're in a zone of genius, right? And if you could just separate yourself and then see yourself independently as a third party, you and your friend, you'd be like, damn, how do I know all these things? It's because you have accumulated. It's your love towards it. It's your
Mhm.
deep passion towards music. And whenever you were saying, yeah, I know Yellow Submarine, but can I don't know anything past that lyric. Yes,
Yeah.
I could probably decipher the meaning of it, but then as a true musician as you are, because you place so much focus and love and passion towards it, and that makes you um, the subject matter expert in the music industry, you know? And that's what being an artist, a creator here on earth, you just find that joy that pulls you
Yeah.
towards it.
We have a
And
love for the thing that you're passionate about. Like I think every musician, we kind of lions like we are fans first. Most musicians like they got into it because they heard something from one of their favorite artists and they say, well, you know what, I want to get into this. And we
yes,
have a like an affinity for really listening to like the details of what's going on in the song, from like the bass lines and the drums and everything. We
exactly.
and
The
we can kind of
arrangement,
yeah, we
yeah.
zone in on the arrangements, we zone in on the lyrics, we zone in on how it was mastered, like all this stuff. And we get
Mhm.
really deep in the weeds and people will like will walk away if they're not into it. Because they're like,
Yes,
what is he talking about? I don't know what
exactly.
he's talking about.
No, but I love it. I love it when people are in their zone of genius, especially the experts, because that just shows that the amount of hours of work that you put into yourself, into mastering that one thing. Just like what you mentioned, for you to be able to speak about that certain subject for 2 hours, 3 hours even, is because you've accumulated those hours before, for you all your life, for you to be able to do that. And there again, I connected it to something bigger. Like, if you really truly want to be good at something, there is no shortcut to it. I
Yeah.
cannot join your group. I cannot join your conversation between you and your friend because I did not put that effort. Number one, maybe it wasn't my interest, but that if I wanted to, I could. That means I have to study about music. I'm going to study about those things. But if I were to join right now, it would be no.
It's like,
I'd
what's
be an
going on?
outcast. Yeah,
Yeah.
what's going on? I've been an outcast. Yeah, but
But I think it's
yeah.
what's cool is when you get passionate about things, and you start to learn to have like a teaching moment. Like if
Oh, you
when you're a
become the
producer,
teacher.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, if you're a lot of times
Yes.
in music, like a producer's like a teacher, right? And so somebody, a younger musician might come along and they might not know everything I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what
Mm-hmm.
happens is like you teach them is like, you tell them like, oh, the Beatles recorded things like this, or Pink Floyd did this, or Fleetwood Mac did that, or Hendrix did this, right? And you
Right.
show them different ways of looking at what they're doing. And so what you can
Yes. Oh
kind of
my God, I got
reframe them.
chills. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
got chills.
then you can kind of reframe it. So when they give you a song, it's like what I'm trying to do is make them sound better. Right. But I'm
Mm.
not trying to make them sound like somebody else. What I try to make them sound is the best version of themselves. And
Oof.
this teach like what we know in music history. How can I make your vocals stand out? How can I
Mm-hmm.
make your bass line sound better? Not that I'm going to rewrite it, but maybe we're going to revoice it, or we're going to put emphasis on this note versus that note. But I'm still going to keep it within what your idea is. There are some
Yes.
producers will take somebody and totally rewrite everything they did, and it
Mm.
basically become like them, try to make them turn into them. And it's like, well, you are like I already exist. I don't want somebody to sound like me.
Exactly.
I want to make them sound like the best version of themselves. And so
Yes.
it's a different kind of thing. I think if you're a therapist, you're trying to bring out that person. You're trying to
Mm-hmm.
get them get beyond the block. You don't want to turn them into you. You want to maybe take your experiences. If you see some parallel experiences, you can kind of get them to pull out their experiences and tell you what they're feeling, and so you can help them on their journey. But you don't want to
Exactly.
like redirect them to be like you.
Oh,
You
you
know,
should be like me because I've walked this path that you're walking on right now, and just and no, because we're all one of one.
yeah,
That person wasn't born as a Nicolette Nierras. No, I don't want you to be like me. I want you to infuse. I'm here to guide you to how I've overcome this journey, the journey that I was on. But I want you to make it, to infuse your essence into it, especially if you're a creator. But if you are overcoming something, everybody's circumstances will be different. But I'm telling you, this is my experience. But make it your own. You have to take the step yourself, and when you're taking the step, you might take it from the help that you have received from me, but also you have your own set of thinking, or I would say feeling, as to why some of my method maybe will not work, but it would work better if you had done it differently. So that's you walking in your path with your own essence, being your true authentic self, exploring and solving that issue. Yeah.
I think it's really important for people to kind of understand like the idea of like holistic lifestyle, and
Okay.
because
Well, yeah.
isn't that because a lot of times people are living in kind of this modern world where they've lost sight of some old like ancient knowledge, or knowledge that actually is minimized by some science. And so if you can get into more holistic methods or concepts, then you can get closer to like, I don't know, it seems like a more intuitive self.
Well, thank you for asking that. Holistic means whole, right? That's the definition of that. At least my definition. It's you're whole. You're not on the other end of the spectrum, and you're neglecting the other parts of your life. So holistic for me means every area of your life are you in control or are they balanced? Now, holistic lifestyle means yes, you need to get out into your job and get paid. You got bills to pay and whatnot. But at the same time, is that job um, aiding in the betterment of your mental health, or is it supporting it, or is it uh, at the are you at a disadvantage in terms of your mental health? Now, also, I'm gonna make it like let's say you're focused. So the example here is you focusing on just one part of your life and neglecting the other parts. Are you also not attuned to the spirituality of things of life? Now, as well as the relationship that you have with your family or the people around you. How are these things playing out while you are focusing on that one aspect of your life? Now, I can tell you, if you're not aware, most probably the other part's not doing so well, but you're doing on this part. They're doing very, very well, extremely well on this side. And the as human beings, it is our duty to make sure that we are looking at all of these points or centers of our life and see what needs to be tweaked. So holistic lifestyle means I can go into the alignment of chakras, and we've already touched on law of attraction. If you want to go into hermetic principles, that's an episode of its own. But to put it simply, we all need to survive, right? But we also want to make sure that our heart and our mind are in the right alignment. So for me, holistic lifestyle coaching is that how are you aligning your heart and your mind in a happy state where you are in your joy, heart, mind, and soul when you are in joy's alignment, and that would help you make the wealth that you're trying to, how do I say this? The life that you're trying to create on this earth. So, to put it simply, happy wealth, happy heart, happy mind, and happy soul. Once you have all of these three simple aspects in your life aligned, that would make you generate your wealth. And that wealth could be monetary terms, or it could be the relationship you have around you, or if you are a big advocate of, all the sustainable agenda in the world, the environment,
Hmm.
you're aligned in that sense. So holistic lifestyle means who are you inside, and I, and if you notice, I never once did I mention about the external
Hmm.
factor because it all starts from within. So it's aligning your heart, your mind, and your soul because we are all spirit beings. We're not human. We're spirit beings in a human meat suit, and that inadvertently create your wealth. And that's the whole holistic mantra that I have and for my coaching as well.
That's an interesting concept because, like, a lot of times, like in the arts, like our term, a lot of times with the opportunity of like time, like
Mm,
we want the time to be able to create our art, and that
right.
that's like sometimes the time is worth more than the money. Like
Exactly.
to be able to
Exactly.
have the time to create the work of the art is
Mm.
actually more valuable than sometimes actually even getting the pay.
And that's yeah, and
you
that's
know.
that's the wealth. You see, that's the wealth. So the time when you're aligned in your mind, heart, and soul, you have the time because you're in your zone of genius. You see, that
Yeah,
few
yeah,
hours,
yeah. The
yeah, that
time.
few hours, you had that was yours, and nobody can take that away from you.
Yeah, when you give yourself the grace to like, yeah, I can
Yes.
actually spend time doing like a local theater.
Yeah.
or I'm going to do time painting because
Mm-hmm.
it's therapeutic. Like I talk to a lot of artists, it's like don't do like art therapy, they do painting. Like whether or not they're going to put it in a gallery, eventually maybe they do. But the
Yeah.
idea is doing the work. Like it actually like it resolves issues. Like it makes them
Mm-hmm.
feel like they can work through the pain. Like a lot of times artists
Yes.
will work through whatever art we're in, whether a musician, like a photographer, you know, filmmaker, any art, cooking. You know, you could be a great chef. It's like coming up with the idea of the
Yes.
recipe or
Be
the whatever
your
you're doing, like the work you're doing. It
exactly.
makes your life.
Exactly. Worthwhile. As human beings, we yearn to express ourselves, and we have to. We need an outlet, and we are all creators. We are all artists, and as an artist that you are right now listening, give yourself the permission to pursue or to do anything that your higher self has called you to do, whether it be singing, cooking, designing, sewing,
Yeah, it's everything.
playing golf, yeah,
So
anything,
just
playing, yeah,
well, there's an
just go
art
out
to
there and do
like
it.
physical sports. That like there's an art to how each person does it. It becomes like their style. Like
Yes, that's
every
yeah,
athlete has like their own moves or their own
exactly.
strategies, and people are like, wow, how did they do that? Because they use their creative, and it's like a physical thing, but you can see it. You know, in the
Mm-hmm.
Olympics, you can see it. Like with the gymnastics, you see it with all
Yes.
the lot of the. If you ever watch any of the Olympic games, every one of
Yes.
those athletes is an artist and an athlete at the same time. They're like it's mixing like art in sports and how they
Yes.
present. You know,
Yes.
there's a lot of art to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that that's the world we live in, and everybody can do it. You know, and the permission structure you don't have to be that Olympian to do it. You can
No.
just be you and
Yes.
do whatever you feel is gonna you know present to the world like you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think people they have to be given the permission, but you have to give it to yourself first.
You have to give it to yourself first. That is yeah, no words truer than that. You have to give yourself grace. And coming back to that before, yeah, I know we it's about an hour now. That self love, right? You love yourself enough to give yourself permission to express itself in its highest, truest version, the most authentic that that you are in this lifetime. You're given one chance, so go out there and do it. Be
I think
yourself.
that's really important. We've got your link there that everybody will be able to click through. Like right now, you can't click on it, but
Oh, okay.
we are on we're on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. And as soon as we're
Yes.
off the air, in the podcast descriptions for those um those channels, that your link will be clickable. And the same thing
Awesome.
on all the other networks that we're on by tomorrow. So if people click on that, is that the way they can connect with you?
Yes, yes, yes. So, if any of the listeners are resonating with my story or just wanted to reach out and see and talk to me about the issues that they're having, whether it's relationship, career transitioning, and just burnout or just want to say hi, please reach out to me and they can come to my website. It's right here, www.thenicnierraswholisticlifestyle.com, and I'm on all social media as well: LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, and YouTube. So I have my own podcast, as we have mentioned before, and yeah, I can't wait to connect with more people.
Yeah, I do want people to check out your Worthless podcast. That's the title. And
Yes, so
for people to check that out, because we are, as a fellow podcaster, I always like want people to like check out fellow podcasters, and it's cool that we get to talk to each other on this forum. But I do encourage people, like if we have another podcaster on and we mention their show, as we just did, check it out because
Thank
yeah,
you.
it's good to do that. So we check out the URL we just mentioned and her podcast. Your worthless. The podcast is titled "Your Worthless Podcast." So yeah, check that out. And I want to thank you for being a guest on the Family Like the Ghost podcast today. And thank you for taking the time to be here. I know you're in a different time zone, morning, it's night here, but that's the way the world is. We get to talk to each other in different days, different time zones. It's cool. Thank you.
It's cool. I love it. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. Thank
Thank
you.
you.